Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to our webinar on navigating the U.S. financial system. I think we'll give people just one more minute to log in and get settled in here. We're really happy that you're taking the time to learn a little bit about some of the ins and outs and the ways that the U.S. system is different than much of the rest of the world, and some kind of basic paperwork things that you might want to know to handle your financial situation. Before we get started, I guess I'll just introduce myself and my team. My name is Jen Fries. I am the Community Engagement Manager for the Harvard Federal Credit Union, and I am joined by Ty Coppelson from my team. Ty's going to be helping me manage the Q&A and putting links into the chat and that kind of thing. Some of you may have also met Terrence Bazil. I know he was over doing a presentation at Chan for a subset earlier today. So some of you may also know Terrence. Together, we are the community engagement team for the credit union, and the three of us are all certified credit union financial counselors. So we do lots of these kind of presentations, and you'll see different things offered throughout the year that you might want to attend and join us. And just a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you on the webinar, this is webinar mode, not meeting, so we cannot see you, we can't hear you, so don't worry, you can do whatever you need to do if you want to eat your lunch, or if you have kids or pets or whatever in the background, that's fine. We can't hear you, but you can still participate in this webinar actively. You can submit any questions that you want to submit using what's called the Q&A feature. You may not see it on your normal Zoom toolbar, depending how it's configured. You might have to go into More on the right-hand corner. There's 3 dots. It says More, and then you'll see something that says Q&A. If you go into the Q&A, you can submit questions at any time. We're going to save some time at the end to answer questions, but you can go ahead and submit questions that as you think of them, and we will try and make sure we get through as many of those questions as we can. I know some of you submitted questions ahead of time, and I reached out to a couple of people directly by email because it was a little more complicated question, but I know one person asked about investing as an international student. We're not actually covering that in depth in this webinar. We'll touch on it a little bit. However, we do have an investment advisor that you can meet with for free. His name is Dennis Sexton, and he's here for you if you end up wanting to learn all about the things that you are allowed to invest in, anything you are not allowed to invest in, that kind of thing. He's going to be your expert. So we will put the link in the chat to make an appointment with Dennis, and go ahead and do that. And if you want to put a question into the Q&A now just to test it, you can let us know where you're joining us from, what part of the world you have moved from, or anything that you want to say. Go ahead and drop your questions into the chat at any time. This webinar is being recorded, and it will be actually, I'm not sure this one will be posted on our YouTube, however, it will be sent to you by email. Apologies for that. I think because some of these things are different if you're an international person who is Harvard affiliated, such as yourselves, versus the general public. I'm not sure we're going to put this on our YouTube, TBD. We will send you a workshop survey afterwards and ask for your honest feedback about what we can do better in these presentations, and anything, suggestions that you have for us. We'd love to hear about them. Okay, so just to go through our agenda today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the credit union, the Harvard Federal Credit Union, which we represent. Then we're going to go into ITINs, which are international tax identification numbers. There's something you may already know about, but if you don't, this will just be either a refresher or introduction to what a ITIN is. That's for folks who don't have a Social Security number. Then we'll go into opening checking and savings accounts as an international student or fellow, whatever you may be, international person residing in the United States. Then we'll talk about establishing credit, which is something that the US has sort of a unique system around credit scoring and borrowing money. And finally, we're going to go over just some general tips for financial success in the US. But I guess I also just want to say, welcome to the US. For those of you who are fairly new, we're really happy that you're joining the Harvard community, and we are here for you. So that being said, who are we? um, just to give you the basics, Harvard has a credit union. It's called the Harvard Federal Credit Union. We are all Harvard employees who work here, and you are eligible to join if you're a Harvard student, fellow, faculty, staff, alum. You are eligible to join the Harvard Federal Credit Union. And what a credit union is it is like a bank, but it's a unique structure where it is not for profit. And that means we're not trying to make a profit off of you. Everything that we make in profit gets reinvested back in better services for our members, as well as things like this kind of financial wellness, education, and services that we're going to tell you about later. So we're community focused. We have lots of great products and services. I'm going to go through some of those later, but one thing I like to highlight is like one of the benefits that we have is that we have free access to ATMs nationwide. So even if you're not on our network, if you use an ATM that has a fee in the United States, we will reimburse you for that fee. So we know we're small but mighty, and we're trying to make sure we have great services for our members. And there's convenient access anywhere. We do have lots of members who are international, both living domestically here in the States and living back home or abroad. You can still do that online banking or bank on the app wherever you are. And so that's a nice benefit. The page that I would have you start on if you are interested in joining the credit union is our international student page. Let's see. Thank you, Ty, for putting that link earlier into the chat. So we do have a whole page for international students, faculty, staff, fellows. So it does answer a lot of frequently asked questions and kind of gets you started on the journey. If you do want to join the credit union, if you feel like you need a checking account, savings account, credit card, mortgage, we do home loans, but only here in New England or in Florida. So if you're buying a home here, we can help you with that. Educational loans, some of you may already know about. And all the other services that we offer are available to you as an international member. And then just some caveats based on federal law that we're going to go over. So this harvardfcu.org/international link is a great place to start. If you decide you want to join the credit union and you'd like to do your banking with us, we're here for you. Again, we're really happy to have you here as part of the Harvard community. One thing I want to mention to you is if you join as a member, you're a member for life. So even if you leave the States, you can either close your account and reopen it at a later date if you want to, because you're already a member. Or you can keep it open, and you do have to keep it active, like do a certain number of transactions, but it's pretty minimal. And that way you can keep it open for convenience or for the future. I know I've had a lot of international friends over the years. Some of them have moved back to their home country, and then maybe their kids come to school in the United States, or maybe they have some other reason why they want to have a US bank account, and it's just been really convenient for them to be able to reopen or keep open their Harvard FCU account. And then it's like, oh, when their child comes to school here and they want to just say that they have a US bank account, that's easy peasy, you already have it done. So those are some of the benefits of being a credit union member and just having that ease of access. I also just want to highlight that we do have a brand new branch that is right around the corner, very short walking distance from Harvard Chan. It's 1 Brigham Circle, which the street address is 1614 Tremont Street. There is parking there. We just opened it up August 12th, but it's open full-time for business now. Come in, stop in, see the team there if you want to open an account in person. You can also open an account online, and it does go through all the steps to do that on the link that we gave you. However, if you want to open an account in person, I definitely encourage you to think about doing that and to do it in the next few weeks. And the reason is because we have this brand new branch, we have all these special promotions right now at the branch. And it's just, we're trying to let people know about it, get the word out. So if you open a new checking account at the 1 Brigham Circle branch, you get a $100 cash bonus. You have to meet certain things about like having an active account. You can't just open it, close it. Basically, if you have an account in good standing for 90 days, you're going to get a $100 bonus into your account. You can also then earn more bonuses of $100 each every time you refer someone, and they bring in you can get these postcards to refer people, and every time they bring that in and say that they're joining because of you, you can get $100 into your account, and they can get money as well. And that's all spelled out on the postcard that you can get in the branch. We have a CD special rate for new CDs opened in the branch, a 4.5% APY on certificates of deposit. So if you have some money that you want to park for 9 months, it's a 9-month CD special. You can get a really high interest rate. 4.5% is really good right now for interest. If you open a new credit card at the 1 Brigham Circle branch, you also get a $100 credit. So you could potentially earn like several $100s in credits between opening an account, opening a CD, opening a credit card, referring people. So I just wanted to let you know about that. The woman in the middle here in red is Carlene. She's the branch manager. Say hi if you see her over there. But the team there is ready to serve you and very friendly. And so we're here for you, basically. And then our main branch is in Harvard Square. We have several others in hospitals and other locations around. And they're all on our website. So, all right. So now getting into some of the meat of the content that we want to cover. I promise that we're going to talk about ITINs. Those are individual taxpayer identification numbers. We're going to talk about what they are, who is eligible, what you can and cannot do with an ITIN. And before I start in the section, I also want to mention to you, you do not need an ITIN to open an account or a credit card with Harvard FCU because you have a Harvard affiliation. You have your Harvard Chan ID. So you will have to get an ITIN within 30 days. It's a good idea to start now, but you could go over to the branch today and open an account. You don't have to wait for your ITIN. Some other banks, you may find that you have to get an ITIN first and then you can proceed on. But because we have this special relationship with Harvard, you can either have your Harvard ID or your Harvard acceptance letter with you. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute. All right, so International Taxpayer Identification Numbers. What is it? When you arrive in the United States for the first time, you're going to need documentation to establish yourself. You're going to need identification cards for visas and other immigration documents. Eventually, you're going to either need a Social Security number or an individual taxpayer ID number. Individual taxpayer identification numbers are ITIN for short. They're a tax processing number. It's given by the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, which is the branch of federal government that handles taxation. And ITINs are for people who are not eligible for a Social Security number. And all taxpayers, regardless of your immigration status, you're required to have some form of numerical identification for tax reporting and processing purposes. For US citizens and for eligible permanent residents, this is typically the Social Security number. You may have heard of that. But for others who are here temporarily, this may be the ITIN. if anybody has questions, I'm not going to go over Social Security numbers in detail, but if anyone has questions about that, you can go ahead and put it into the Q&A feature of the of Zoom. So again, go into more on the far right-hand side where the three dots are. If you don't already see Q&A, select Q&A and you can put any questions that you have in there. Okay. So who is eligible for an ITIN? Any resident with foreign status can apply for an ITIN. So this includes undocumented immigrants, those reside, including anyone who might have an expired visa. I doubt that applies to anyone on here, but just so you know, you are allowed to apply for it, and that will enable you to pay taxes and avoid any kind of criminal charges about not paying taxes, even if you may be out of status. Foreign nationals that conduct business in the United States might need an ITIN. Dependent spouses of lawful citizens, and any other individual residing or working in the United States who is not eligible for a Social Security number. So on the slide earlier, we are going to send these slides to you, but on the slide earlier, it had the IRS's, the Internal Revenue Services, information about ITIN. So I'm linking that here also in the chat, just so that if you want to read the government information about it, which obviously goes into more detail. So what can it be used for? An ITIN then can be used to open checking and savings accounts, apply for credit, obtaining a driver's license or a state ID, and you might need it for renting an apartment. It's not a replacement for a Social Security number, but it can be used for a lot of things that require a Social Security number. Again, I just want to reiterate that if you are applying for an account with the Harvard Federal Credit Union and you choose to bank with us, you do not have to have your ITIN before you start. So you're going to be asked to put in 000000000 in place, all zeros, in place of a Social Security number, and then go and apply for an ITIN. Our staff at Brigham Circle or support staff online can help you with this if you have any questions. But you will need to get the ITIN eventually and provide it to us. So, okay, so now that we have mentioned what ITINs are, we do want to go over how to apply. So to apply for an ITIN, you're going to need to submit a form called a W-7 form to the IRS. You submit this form by mail. And at the end, we're going to give you the correct address to send it to, or in person at one of the IRS's taxpayer assistance centers near you, which can be found on the IRS websites. And you do need to just double check that you have all the information that you will need to be able to apply for your ITIN on that link that I sent you earlier. It's going to give you all the information about that. Sorry, I just want to grab a link for you about it. Let's see. Apologies. Okay. So, okay, I guess the link I gave you earlier is the one that you're going to start from. If you look down on the right-hand side, it does have how to apply for an ITIN. I don't know, across the kind of the middle, right under the header, you can select a few different languages. The page is available in Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Russian, Creole, a few other languages, Vietnamese. That's where you're going to start to do your application. Okay. So I would suggest you submit your application as soon as possible. If you know you're going to be here for the whole school year, go ahead and submit your application to get the ITIN now. However, you certainly are going to need it whenever you file your federal income taxes. So whenever you have a reporting requirement, you're going to need it. So if you don't do it now, you're going to want to do it fairly soon so that you have it ready at the time that you need to file taxes in the spring. And you will normally get your ITIN within 7 weeks. However, we have seen some delays with the federal government over certain things. So again, suggest that you file sooner rather than later. You will normally get it in the form of a letter. And you can call the IRS to check on the status of your application if you do not get your ITIN 7 weeks after submitting your application. You can use the QR code on the screen to go directly to that page or the link in the chat, whichever is easier for you. And again, you will get these slides sent to you just from having registered for this webinar. Okay. So once you have your proper identification, whether it's an ITIN or a social security number, now you can start your financial journey in the States. And the first step is typically to open an account with a financial institution. So we're going to go over how you might choose a financial institution, which might be the Harvard Federal Credit Union or might be a different bank, how to apply, different account types, and how to manage your account. So choosing a financial institution can be confusing. We hope not, though. We hope that having the credit union available to you makes you know that you have a kind of simple, easy thing to do. However, you may want to do more research. There may be other things you're looking for. So we do know that some things are different in the US. Of course, you may have a long history of banking in your own country and may even have credit unions there too, because it is an international movement, but they might not work exactly the same way as the US financial system. So the easiest way to kind of reduce that stress is to just do a little research. You want to familiarize yourself with the way the system works. And that way you can choose what you want to do. And again, if you want to open an account in our branch at 1 Brigham Circle, 1614 Tremont Street, you can take advantage of those promotional offers that we have. And okay, so now you've looked around, you've chosen your financial institution, and think about what's important to you. What kind of features do you want in your bank or credit union? What kind of credit card do you want? Do you want something that's going to earn points, like rewards? Do you want something that has lower interest rate, just the lowest possible interest rate? Do you want other features or things? Do you want to be able to transfer money to family internationally? Do they have ATMs that are convenient to you? And those kind of things. So look around, decide what's right for you. When you're opening an account, you're going to gather all your documents together. You may need your passport, your other ID, proof of address, such as a utility bill or a state ID, and then your social security number or ITIN. If you're doing the Harvard Federal Credit Union, you're going to want to bring your Harvard ID or your Harvard acceptance letter, either one, to the branch with you. Just to go over, in case some of this is new to you, there are different kinds of accounts in the US. One of them is a checking account. Checking accounts are intended for like day-to-day use of funds. The funds can be freely deposited and withdrawn in a variety of ways as needed. They typically have a debit card attached to them, which are cards that you can use to make purchases. Those purchases come directly out of your bank account. So it's not the same as a credit card where you pay it later. It does come right out of your bank account. And checking accounts can be linked to your employer to have your paycheck funds directly deposited. and they can sometimes have fees associated with them, and they can also earn interest. And we do have checking account products that do earn interest called Smart Rewards Checking at the credit union. So those are some of the things that you might want to be thinking about with your checking account. And then we have savings accounts. Typically, they're for putting money away for emergencies or longer term goals. You can open them at the same time as your checking account. You can have direct deposit. You can even have a portion of your paycheck paid directly into your savings account. They typically earn a higher rate of interest. And we do have our Smart Rewards savings accounts that are our high yield savings accounts, so the highest interest rate that we offer. Typically, your savings account does not have a debit card linked to it, as it is designed for longer term savings. And savings accounts usually have a limit on the number of withdrawals you can make per month. So you don't want to pay all your bills out of your savings account for that reason. You do want to have a checking account. Okay. So then we have credit, and we're going to go over this relatively quickly, but we like to do this for our international members because the credit system is very different in the United States than in other places. So what is credit? Credit is the ability to borrow money to pay for something now with an understanding that you're going to pay the money back later. There are a lot of nuances to the US credit system, as I mentioned, that make it unique, including establishing credit and maintaining a high credit score are things that are a little different here about how we handle them. All right, so what is a credit score? A credit score is a 3-digit number that uses information from a credit report that is compiled by what are known as credit bureaus. And they are used by places that issue credit cards or issue loans, mortgages, etc. And they give information about how likely they think it is that you're going to pay back, as agreed, any credit that's extended to you. So credit scores typically fall in a range. The lowest and not good score would be 400 or less. Then moving up, an excellent score is all the way up to like 780 and up to like 850. And then people can be ranked in between. So a low score means that they think you might be at higher risk of defaulting, not paying your loans on time. So you want to get your credit score to be as high as possible because that will give you better offers for credit, just the ability to get credit, and better interest rates. So we'll talk about that, how to do that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what your credit score is made up of. Now, again, this is mostly going to be your score is going to start fresh in the United States because it doesn't pull from credit that you may have had internationally typically. So many people who are international students, fellows, faculty, staff are going to be starting from scratch. So your credit history is going to include, your credit score is going to be made up of these factors. The biggest factor is paying your bills on time. So that's payment history. So the length of it and that you're doing it in a timely fashion. You're not missing any payments. The next is the amount owed. So they're going to look at, well, how much does this person owe compared with how much credit they have extended to them. So they want to see that you're not using, like if you have $1,000 credit card, that you're not running a balance and keeping $999, which would be the kind of the maximum you could be charged. That instead you're paying off your credit card either every month or pretty quickly, and that the amount that you're actually using is less than what you have available to you. Then they're going to look at the length of your credit history, new credit, and credit mix. So just to say a little bit more on that. So again, your payment history is whether you make payments on time consistently. There's going to be a due date for each of your credit cards or loan payments that you have. It's typically on a monthly basis. If you are in school, you probably are not going to have to pay until a certain amount of time after you graduate. But starting with that first payment date, you're expected to make your payments on time. It's really important that you stay on top of that. You make your payments on time, and ideally you pay off, if you have a credit card, the whole amount every month. But if you can't do that, that you're at least making the minimum payments or hopefully more so that you don't stay in debt. The next part, again, is that credit utilization. In general, creditors want to see loan balances decreasing, not increasing over time, because that is kind of a sign someone's in financial trouble. So student loans are great for this, for establishing a history, because it shows that over time it's just sort of steadily steps down typically what you owe. And revolving credit, which is a credit card where you can like take money out, pay it back, take it out, pay it back. You don't want to be, again, using up to the limit. So if I have a $10,000 limit on my credit card, maybe I never charge more than $3,000 in a month, because I'm trying to keep it around 30% of my my utilization number, around a third of what I could take out. Then again, length of your credit history. This is going to look at the age of your oldest account. So typically we advise you to keep your oldest credit card open if you can, because that's going to show a longer credit history, particularly when you're new to the US. Like if you got a credit card, even if you paid it off, I would suggest you keep it open, just to give that length to your credit history. New credit or hard inquiries are when you've applied for a new credit card, new mortgage, new auto loan, something like that. They can see that, and so that's a little bit of a red flag to the creditors. Of course, if you need to do it, that's what you should do. But if you go out and apply for a whole bunch of credit all at once, that's something that is of concern about whether you're going to be able to pay it back. And then finally, the credit mix. Creditors do like to see sort of that you can manage different kinds of credit. Maybe you have a credit card and a car loan, or a student loan and a store card, or something like that. So different ways that you can show that you're well-rounded and you have a mixture and used it all responsibly. Okay. And then all of that information, so who's keeping track of this? How do they know? So your credit score is determined by, there are 3 major credit bureaus in the United States that track your credit activity. Those bureaus are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. We're going to give you those names at the end in a later slide. You don't have to write that down. So each credit bureau has a report that they compile from your creditors about whether or not you're paying on time, etc. When you open a line of credit, they get that information. And if you have an ITIN, you can request your credit report for any of the 3 credit bureaus by mail. If you have a Social Security number, you can check it online at a site called annualcreditreport.com. But again, that's only for people with a Social Security number. At the end, we're going to give you the address to write to if you want to check your credit report, if you have an ITIN. Most of the creditors report to all 3 bureaus. They may have slightly different information, however. So it is good practice to check all 3 at maybe at different times during the year, or just kind of keep on top of that. Particularly if you're thinking about applying for something big like a car loan or a mortgage that's going to be influenced what interest rate you're going to be given. Okay. And again, if you are an ITIN holder, you're going to be able to access your credit report, but you're going to have to write for it, and we'll give you that address at the end. Okay. So we've gone over credit scores and reporting. And now we're going to talk a little bit about how you can build your credit history. One great way to build credit is with a credit card. They are issued by financial institutions. You can get a credit card at Harvard FCU. And again, we have those promos going on if you open a new credit card in our branch. They work similar to debit cards in that they allow you to make those everyday purchases, but instead of using funds in your bank account, the funds are borrowed up front and then you pay them back, hopefully in full every month, or by making monthly payments if you can't make it in full. Your credit score will be fine if you just make the minimum payment, but you may find that you get deeper and deeper in debt. So that's a whole kind of other topic that we have about financial wellness. But in general, we don't advise you to charge more on your credit card than you can pay back. Let's see. So when you're building credit from scratch, if you don't go with the credit union, you may need to find a bank or institution that allows you to open what's called a secured credit card. You may find that you're not able to get a credit card otherwise. And secured is when you put down cash, like a security deposit, to open the account. A secured credit card reduces the perceived risk that the creditor is taking by granting you access to credit without a credit history. So they're usually low, on average from $200 to $500, but they can be higher. You still have to make your monthly payment if you have a secured card. You are charged interest if you don't make that payment, even if you have that deposit on file. So you may want to find a credit card that doesn't have to be secured. Again, you could do one at the credit union or somewhere else. But if you do need to do a secure card, that is a good first step for building credit. And again, we advise you to keep your usage about 30% of your card maximum. So if your card credit limit is $1,000, keep your usage to around $300. And if you do exceed that amount, really prioritize paying that off quickly as soon as you can. And again, if you miss a payment, that's going to affect your credit score negatively. So make sure you make your payments on time. You may also want to take a personal loan at some point. The credit union does offer personal loans, and lots of other places do as well. And you can find out about that on our website as well. I'm not going to go into detail about that. We also offer mortgages and auto loans, and you can get them from other places. All of those are going to build your credit score. So the Harvard Federal Credit Union offers mortgages if you are buying in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont. So those are what's called the New England states right around here. Or if you're buying a home in Florida. Other than that, we do not offer mortgages right now in other parts of the world or in other parts of the country. But if you get a mortgage from anywhere, that's going to, in the United States, that's going to impact your US credit score. Same thing for auto loans. A home loan and an auto loan are a little different because they're in both of those cases, there is an asset that can be seized if you don't pay. So it can be a little easier sometimes to get a car loan because they know they can repossess the car if you don't pay it. That is a loan that has collateral or collateralized loan. So it can be another entryway to getting credit, only if you need those things. Okay, finally, we want to go over the cost of borrowing money. So why do you care about your credit score? One, are you able to get the loan you want? Two, what interest rate are you offered? The better your credit score, the better interest rates you're going to get, meaning lower rates for credit cards. You're going to be paying less interest on student loans, credit cards, those kind of things. And you're going to be getting higher interest rates on accounts that are offered to you from many places. So better rewards cards, for instance, and that kind of thing. So your credit score is really important. You end up paying more to borrow money if you have a low score. So applying for credit with an ITIN. Now, again, you can apply for a credit card at the credit union without your ITIN, but we're going to ask for it within 30 days. A lot of places will not allow you to apply until you have your ITIN, and they may not actually allow. There are some banks that don't allow you to apply with an ITIN. You must have a social security number. So research that, find out what is going to be potentially available to you. We already talked a lot about using credit responsibly, so unless people have questions about that, I'm going to keep going. So as we wrap up, we just wanted to give you a few tips and some resources for financial success. As we talked about, make sure you have the right documentation, like your ITIN. Keep track of all your documentation in a safe place where you can access it easily. Open that savings and checking account with us or somewhere else, wherever you want to do that. Apply for credit before you need it. Just make sure you have some credit available to you so that if you have that situation where you need to charge something, you can. Use all of your accounts responsibly, pay on time, pay in full if at all possible. Reach out to your creditors though if you have a hardship. Reach out to us or to any other creditor and let them know. Communication is key, and we're going to give you a resource on that too, for brief counseling. And you don't have to go through all this alone. We're here for you at the credit union, and also as part of that, we have a contract with a financial wellness organization. It is a not-for-profit financial counseling. Anyone on this call is eligible to receive help from GreenPath with financial counseling if you are experiencing difficulties with debt, if you want help making a budget, if you want student loan counseling, HUD mortgage counseling, any of those kind of things. GreenPath is there. They have extended business hours. They are available in many different languages. So we encourage you to reach out to GreenPath. We're going to send you these slides to do so. And also reach out to us. We're here for you as well, of course. Okay, so this is how you would write to your the credit bureaus to ask for your credit score and your credit information. The first address is where you're going to write to file for your ITIN. You're going to mail your W-7 there to the IRS ITIN Operations Center in Austin, Texas. And then if you want to request your credit report by mail, that's the Experian and the TransUnion information that is listed there. You're going to need to include your name, your ITIN, a valid ID, current and previous addresses, and your date of birth in the request. So that's a lot of information, but that's so that they can give you the correct credit information and make sure that they find you. So those are the resources that you might need. I do want to say I covered a lot of things where I mentioned the word tax, but we are not tax advisors. This is literally just how to get your tax number, not how to file your taxes. And I know people may have questions about that, but that is not typically what we do at the credit union. Other than that, our investment person can help you if you want to explore tax sheltered investment, those kind of things. Of course, he can go over those. But you're going to want to talk tax questions with actual tax accountants, of which there are many. I do want to mention we offer lots of webinars on financial wellness of different kinds. We have one open to the public on September 19th. I'm going to put the link in the chat about how to register. If you want to join us, we would love to have you. We are Harvard FCU on all the socials and on YouTube. We have lots of information. So please follow us or reach out to us if you have any questions. I'm just going to end back on that international slide because I honestly think that one is just going to start you on your journey if you want to do that. If anybody else has any questions, it looks like we don't have any questions open right now. But feel free, I'll stay on for another minute or two. Feel free to put any questions in if you want. Other than that, we are really happy to have you here again, and your work that you do in public health in the United States and around the world is so important. And really grateful to have you here. I know it's a long journey for a lot of people to make it here, and hope that we can be part of your journey too. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time with us. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off, and hope you enjoy the rest of your orientation and getting settled in school. All right. Thanks, everybody.